Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And in this one, I'm going to be giving my initial first impressions for all of the healers when it comes to 3 versus 3 arena, a little bit of PvP in general, but the main focus of the ranking is in 3v3 competitive arena, where they're currently standing in terms of their power and their performance and their play style, and just talking a little bit about them and through them. So, Discipline Priest started out when we got more PvP testing as easily the best healer. It was doing massive damage, it was doing massive healing, it had insane cooldowns. It has recently received nerfs targeted towards its damage output, in particular its Shadow Word Death, because its Shadow Word Death was KOing people really easily. So, a lot of its damage has been brought down. In my mind, it's still the best healer, even after those damage nerfs. It has some legendaries, like the Reflective Shield one, which I feel like it's going to get nerfed because it's also prevalent in Mythic Plus. From a few Mythic Plus streams that I was watching, Discipline Priests were doing a lot of damage by reflecting damage back on their powered shields through a legendary. And that one is still really good in Arena specifically. They're definitely down in terms of their own personal power, but comparatively to the other healers, I think they're still on their own tier. Maybe not as dramatically as before, but I would still rank Discipline Priest as an S tier even after its recent passive nerfs. Holy Paladin is a tricky one because Holy Paladin in Battle for Azeroth is so absolutely bonkers, insane, crazy that when you step into Shadowlands Holy Paladin, you will feel like you're just totally useless in comparison, but in reality you might not actually be totally useless. um, Obviously losing ineffable truth means that you're not getting infinite avenging wraths and infinite sacrifices and infinite bops. That alone is going to make you feel a lot worse when you log into Shadowlands. But is that a good thing? I think that's a good thing for the game that Holy Paladins don't have infinite avenging wrath, infinite bops, and infinite sacrifices. Maybe if you're a Holy Paladin player, you can leave a comment down below on how much you hate me for saying that, but I said it, and that's how I feel. One of the major concerns for it was the change to their passive infusion of light, which before was when Holy Shock crit, your Holy Light was super fast. That's the relevance of it in PvP. Now instead, it makes your Holy Light heal for a lot, but it's really slow. So if you were used to just pumping out really quick Holy Lights, um, that's just not the way that it is. I'm still on the fence as to whether or not it's obviously a bad thing for your performance, right? But I think that it's a good thing in terms of health for the game because you never used Flash of Light in BFA. And Holy Light did so many things. It applied Light's Grace for damage reduction. It was your biggest heal. It synergized with Divine Favor really well. And it was super fast. It had no downsides. You spent no mana. I think having Holy Light be your slow power heal and Flash of Light be your fast, quick, and efficient heal is actually where Paladin should be. You should, if you want to power through a lot of damage quickly with Flash of Light, run out of mana because you made that decision. If you think you can outrange the interrupts and time a really well-timed slow heal and get a big heal at the end of it and save some mana, that's how it should be. Healers lately, at least in PvP, from expansion to expansion, tend to be pigeonholed into just mashing one of their heals because it's usually more efficient, higher healing, and faster cast times. I would like the healing to be spread out more, not just only Holy Light like it is in BFA, brought out into Flash of Light more, and I think that is being achieved at the moment. But it's still going to be jarring, right? And you're definitely not ungodly like you were in BFA. The only other thing is that a lot of the legendaries are a little bit lackluster. The Infusion of Light one is just pretty straightforward to go to for Holy Paladin. You can start cheesing. I've seen a lot of cheese builds with Hammer of Wrath as the legendary and just pumping out a lot of damage with Holy Paladin, which does play into it pretty strongly. I don't think that it's a terribly awful healer at the moment in the beta. I personally like Holy Light being the slow, efficient heal. I like Flash of Light being the fast, inefficient heal. And I would like that this is equivalent amongst all healers, of course, when I say this, so that mana is more relevant because, right now in Battle for Azeroth, mana amongst the best healers is almost completely irrelevant. So hopefully with this change, mana becomes more of a relevancy for all of the healers. But obviously, it's not going to be a super top tier healer, right? In terms of his performance right now, I'd probably put it at a B in terms of its capability. Now, the Holy Priest. This one's a tricky one because I feel like most players don't actually have enough time played on this to really tell how good or bad it is. If we had Envious, who was like the best Holy Priest in Legion, who I played with to rank 1, and he played Holy Priest the entire expansion, if he was playing it and I could get his opinion on it currently, I would feel much safer giving it a high ranking if he was to say it. Now, obviously, based off watching other priests play it and experiencing against it and experimenting a little bit with it, it received a lot of PvP talents that were perceivably really good, and if anything, super OP. Like, you can fly. You just fly up into the air and start casting heals when you go down to the ground. You've got Thought Steal to steal Polymorph. You still have all of the cheeky disruption with Holy Word and all this stuff. Holy Word to stop all incoming crowd control. Your greater heal did get nerfed, which was the one thing that did make you somewhat competitive, at least in 2v2. But you were more or less, like in BFA, Holy Priest was more or less a meme spec that was cheesing 2v2 with greater heal, playing with Destro locks. Never really had a competitive place because you could tunnel it down. It was really mana inefficient. It couldn't keep up with damage output to the other healers that were based around damage. So it just ended up feeling like a meme. And it, in my opinion, at the moment on the beta, it still fits that. It's still kind of just a meme. It's not as efficient. It has really big downsides to when it gets trained. Even with legendaries that let you res, like you die, you turn into the angel, and then you res. Even with stuff like that, it still doesn't seem like it's performing. I would like to see how it progresses through this, and then I'm going to reach out to like players like Envious to see what he says about the Holy Priest if he's been testing it. I'm going to play it more myself to really kind of figure out what's going on with it. But it's easily I would actually put it as D. It's just, I don't see it as being a competitive healer. It'll probably be a lot of fun in battlegrounds, right? But the point of this list is 3v3. But in battlegrounds, like flying up in the air, tossing palm out onto targets with cardinal mending for increased healing, like it'll probably be a lot of fun in a battleground setting with the toolkit that it's got. And then it has a bunch of other players around it to support the weaknesses that it has. But in a small group environment where it's the only healer, I just see it falling really short. But it is one that I will have to check out more. And again, this is just the initial kind of jump if you want to see how your class is performing on the beta currently. And I'll be updating these as time goes on and nerfs come in. Mistweaver Monk, it's pretty much just BFA Monk again, which obviously is great for your performance. It's really efficient. It's a powerhouse healer. They brought in some interesting changes to Chi-Ji, and sort of how it's going to be like a Fistweaver potentially with Eminence legendaries. But that, I believe, just got nerfed as well along with Discipline Priest. So it's still just lacking damage. It's basically the just do nothing, sit back and heal healer. And that's exactly how it is in Battle for Azeroth. It's performing phenomenally, but it doesn't have that fist weaving element that it had in something like Legion, or even Mists of Pandaria when you would mix in a little bit of Eminence fist weaving. It's lacking that in PvP. Can't speak to PvE right now, but in PvP it's lacking that. It's still a really strong healer. That's why I'm putting it on the A tier. It has more throughput than Holy Paladin. It's easier to deal with the situations that are currently happening in terms of burst damage consistently on the Mistweaver than the Holy Paladin. And it's basically just coming over from BFA in the same place at the moment. Resto Druid. Now, Resto Druid currently at the end of Battle for Azeroth is very weak. It looks reasonably strong at the moment in Shadowlands, with legendaries that allow you to heal through spread pressure with 2 life blooms, and legendaries that increase your healing through Swift Mend, so it doesn't consume the heal over time effects, which is the legendary that I'm probably going after on my Druid. Your Ironbark received a bit of nerfs, but I think that's fair. The healing from it is much more based around your heal over time effects. The Necrolord Covenant ability, the Swarm, synergizes really well with the kit that Resto Druid has right now in PvP. You can think of it almost as an extra cooldown to deal with these really high burst specializations like the Subtlety Rogue. I've been playing Tree of Life, and I've seen other Druids playing Tree of Life, so it's kind of Tree of Life has actually come back in terms of the meta because you need to survive those big opening burst windows, which is interesting. Nature Swiftness returning. Overgrowth is a baseline talent. To me, Resto Druid is in a great position. I would put it above Paladin, and I would actually put it on the same tier as Mistweaver Monk currently. It's looking like a solid healer. Innervate just came off the GCD. That's a couple benefits for some of these specializations as well, that GCD changes are going to make them feel a lot better in terms of their playstyle. But in terms of its power, it's definitely an A. It's one that I'm going to be playing more, but I would like to get my hands on Holy Priest because it's a spec, again, that not many people are playing, and it's one that often kind of just gets ignored, which is a little unfortunate. Restoration Shaman. I've seen a lot of Restoration Shamans doing well. I'm a little bit hesitant on putting it on the A tier with Mistweaver and Resto Druid, although I think that it could be. Now, obviously, the biggest downside of Restoration Shaman moving from BFA is the loss of your Ghost Wolf healing through Pack Spirit. That Azerite trait carried Resto Shaman basically the entirety of Battle for Azeroth, making it so that you could just heal yourself in Ghost Wolf without really doing anything or running any risk. Now, obviously, that's gone, and thankfully that's gone, because I don't think it was very healthy for the game. Don't think that it was really useful in PvE content, and it just kind of made PvP non-interactive. So I'm personally glad that it's gone. Doesn't mean that Restoration Shaman is weaker now as a result, yes, but that's not necessarily a bad thing in my mind. It's a good thing. You're going to get some mana management tools back with Water Shield and Manatide Totem, which is awesome in terms of being able to differentiate yourself as a shaman from another shaman. But its healing output and its Covenant abilities when it comes to PvP are not fantastic. In my mind, you can run the Primordial Blast for an extra Riptide, or you can run the Chain Harvest. Chain Harvest is kind of standing out to me at the moment for how much healing output it can do, and because it's on a different school of magic. So when you go to cast it, you get kicked, you can then cast Healing Surge. So it does have that, at least for some versatility in its covenants. But I'm a bit hesitant to put it on A. I feel like it's more in line with Holy Paladin. If I could put a B plus, I would. Maybe I should drop Holy. People are gonna get mad because I'm putting everything on the same tier again. It's not on the same tier this time. I feel like it is slightly better than Holy Paladin, but slightly worse than Mistweaver and Resto Druid at the moment in the current beta feel. It has strong cooldowns to trade with the immediate burst damage that's going out with Spirit Link and Earthen Wall Totem and Ascendance. But it is susceptible to being spam interrupted. You can run Venthyr for interrupt reductions, which is really good, so it definitely pulls it up a notch, and then have the Chain Harvest on another school of magic. So I don't think that it's performing awful. It's not a Holy Priest, right? And more or less, the lower rankings for the Holy Paladin and Shaman, even if they don't make changes, I think will start to rise up passively as players adapt to how the specs function now, because those models from Battle for Azeroth that were, in my mind, very unhealthy for PvP that Holy Paladin and Restoration specifically had are gone. Now there's going to be a little bit of a growing period of getting used to, like, oh, I have to cast my heals again? Whoa, I don't like that. I can get interrupted and die. This is bad. I want my instant healing that I don't have to think anything about and saves me through everything to come back. That's basically what's happening. I think it's a transition period. These specializations could actually be good. Are they Discipline Priests? No. Probably the legendary with spell reflecting, or not spell reflecting, reflecting damage from Powered Shield is likely what I think needs to be brought down, because it's also really prevalent in PvE. If that was brought down, I think Discipline Priest would be lower on the tier at the moment. But I think Shaman and Paladin are ones that could rise up even without changes, just once players get to that growing period. It's really Holy Priest that needs a lot of attention. I'm thinking that I'm going to dedicate at least a couple of days to playing Holy Priest to try and see exactly what's going on with it, and then give more of an update at that point in time. But I hope you enjoyed this initial assessment for the healers and their power levels currently in the Shadowlands beta. Leave a comment down below what you think. If you've been watching some content creators that disagree with me, I'm all open for discussion here. The main purpose of this is just basically to give my opinion, and then some of the information that I've gathered from watching other content creators on Twitch. And other than that, if you enjoyed the video, please leave the video with a like. Subscribe to the channel. I've got links up above here that are going to go to class reviews for Shadowlands. If you're interested in seeing in-depth reviews of what's going on with your class and which one do you want to play, those are going to be a great resource. And then other tier lists as well that I've done for other parts of the game, for fun factors, for PvP specifically, for melee DPS, range DPS, basically the entire thing. I'm trying my best to cover it before Shadowlands. We still got a lot of time, obviously, and all of this is subject to change. I would almost guarantee that it changes. So take this with a grain of salt. It is currently September 10th when I've made this tier list. So if I log in tomorrow and there's a blue post that's like suddenly Holy Priest get 100% increased healing, I don't want to see any comments down below. Why'd you give Holy Priest a D? So just take that into account. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video and we will see you in the next one.